We have returned to Jordan, home to thousands of Palestinian refugees. It is in Al-Zarqa refugee camp where we meet Muhammad Azazi, a 14-year-old orphan whose life has been anything but easy.
كان عمري محمد 3 شهور. يعني إلي أخت لما كانت تيجي تحممه تحكي له يعني إنه حركته بطيئة. أخذناه على الدكتور بشارع السعادة إنه بيحكي لازم يعني صورة طبقية للدماغ. لما عملنا صورة تحليل وهيك بين إنه كتلة على الدماغ شلال الدماغي. يعني هي أولها كانت صعبة إنه يعني أول ولد إلي وبيمشيش ودائما كنت أنا وياه بالمستشفى يعني يوم بالبيت وأسبوع بالمستشفى.
As well as tragically losing his father, Muhammad also had a sister called Tamara, who was born with the same disability as him. Sadly, she passed away a few months ago. She was only 13 years old. With his sister gone, Muhammad is struggling to cope. He visits her grave as often as possible, even though it's difficult to get there.
كثير أثرت على محمد. يعني وبعد ما توفت بفترة قاعد أسبوعين بالمستشفى، قاعد بالاي سي يو، صار عنده نزيف داخلي وهيك.
كنا نرسم أنا وياها، نحكي مع بعض، نلعب زي شوي يعني بفقدها.
After all this hardship, some good news has come to Muhammad. He has been selected by Islamic Help to be taken for a free Umrah. As well as Muhammad, 400 more orphans from Palestinian refugee camps who are living in poverty have been selected to go for a free Umrah. The happiness and excitement amongst these widow and orphan families is plain to see. For all of them, it's simply a dream come true. They are also extremely grateful to learn that there are people out there who care enough to donate this great gift to them. To prepare the orphans for their special journey, Islamic Help provide live demonstrations and classes on how to perform the Umrah in the right way. The day has arrived for the orphans to go for Umrah. Before they do, everyone gathers to celebrate this unique and special occasion and to bid farewell. To add to the excitement, Islamic Help have invited a very special guest to accompany the orphans on this sacred journey, Sister Lauren Booth.
Today I am in Sports City Amman in Jordan for the start of a truly magnificent journey. I'm here with Islamic Help, and behind me, as you can see, are some of the 400 orphans and widows preparing themselves for a journey of a lifetime. The children here are disabled or impoverished, and all of them are refugees from Palestine.
With all supplies for the journey on board and all orphans accounted for, the 10 coaches can head off to Saudi Arabia.
These children will be going to Mecca to make Umrah. This is the start of their journey.
These children are caught in a political situation not of their making, from which they cannot escape, and all they want is us to ask Allah to give them unity and help them with that unity and love. Inshallah, Allah will grant it.
For the orphans with disabilities, to make their journey more comfortable, they will be travelling to Saudi Arabia by airplane.
So we're here at Amman Airport getting ready to get on the flight that will take us towards one step closer to our Umrah. And these boys, none of them can hear, and they've all been texting to their families and saying their goodbyes, and it's just beautiful to be here, and they're great kids, mashallah.
As soon as the orphans are through security, they quickly change into their ihrams. Instantly inspired by wearing their simple garments, they sing nasheeds to one another to elevate their souls. With the other orphans leaving a day earlier by coach, these orphans will meet up with them once they arrive in Mecca.
of the day that Abraham passed your way, and he was instructed by God to build a house of peace where people...
As they journey to Saudi Arabia, this is a great time for the orphans to get to know one another, as well as their guardians. For many of these refugees, they are leaving the confines of their camps for the first time. Their families have been stuck and forgotten there for over 65 years. It's little wonder why they may be feeling their first ever sense of freedom.
Watching the children grow through their experience, going on a plane for the first time is not to be underestimated. You know, sitting with the children without hearing and they're going, you know, and signing to each other. It was just a very beautiful thing.
The orphans are now approaching the miqat and have made the intention to go into the state of ihram. They now chant the talbiyah. After a 2-hour flight, the plane is now approaching Jeddah in Saudi Arabia, and the orphans are clearly excited to be one step closer to Mecca. Now that the group have safely arrived in Jeddah, they will have a shortened coach ride to Mecca. On board the coach, the emotions are at a spiritual high. It's hard to believe that most of these orphans have only recently met. The bond of love and respect between these orphan pilgrims is like they have been best friends their entire lives. The guardians are clearly humbled to be in their presence. Though visibly tired, Muhammad Azazi still passionately recites the talbiyah. The orphans have now arrived at their hotel in Mecca. After travelling this long journey, they drop off their belongings, refresh and nourish themselves. Then, without wasting any time, they set off for Masjid al-Haram. On their way, the orphans are met with a beautiful reception from the other pilgrims.
We were on an underpass just coming up to the Haramain last night, and they were chanting and they were saying Labbaik Allah, and suddenly there's a crowd of pilgrims around them, mums crying and dads taking photos, and really getting that this is something quite enormous, that these are children coping with disabilities and pain and anguish and loss, and orphans as well, and beloved of Allah. And there is a grace about that, and everybody appreciates it, and they're really getting the 5-star treatment as well.
The joyful orphans are now inside Masjid al-Haram and are beginning their tawaf. This is the moment they have all been waiting for, to answer the call of the one God, Allah. The guardians will be with them for every step of this journey to keep them safe, assist them, and remind them of the significance of each sacred ritual. Many of these orphans have a lot of things they want to get off their chests. Now they have a special opportunity to appeal to their creator and sustainer, to comfort and assist them.
لأني خسرت أبوي يعني خسرت كل ما أملك. لأني خسرت أبوي يعني خسرت كل ما أملك. لا بالعكس، تركت الصلاة وتركت كل شيء وظلتني يعني برا بالشارع، ما كنت أروح على البيت. ولما أظن أنها سوف تستمر معي إلى الأحسن. بعدني متذكر وما نسيته.
This Umrah program not only plays a big part in helping these orphans to come to terms with their loss, it also gives them a real sense of actually helping that loved one who has passed away. And with that comes peace.
فكرت بشي حلو وفكرت إني راح أقوم عن العربة أسير أمشي. حكيت يا رب ارحم أختي واجعل مثواها الجنة في جنات النعيم.
They are also extremely grateful to the donors who have supported them to go for Umrah, keeping them in their prayers and hearts forever.
الله يرزقهم يا رب ويرفع مرتبهم كتير ويجعل مثواهم الجنة.
When in the presence of the blessed Kaaba, every believing heart and soul cannot help but feel the impact.
Holding the hand of an orphan, a little boy, Tamir, as we went around the Kaaba, and I was making dua for Palestinian refugees and Syrian refugees, and this little boy said, refugee child, son of a refugee, said Ameen. That's something that, you feel Allah's greatness in that moment.
While performing tawaf, the pilgrims will circle the Kaaba 7 times while praising Allah and pleading to Him for all their needs.
These are hard lives, and to make an Umrah for that loved one, gives them such comfort. They will go to sleep at night feeling in their heart that their Rabb, their Lord, has paid special attention to their parent because of an act that they did. It's a way of saying thank you. It's a way of saying I miss you. It's a way of saying I love you. And that is a great gift to give a child, and that will never be forgotten.
The pilgrims have completed their tawaf and are now enjoying a short rest while drinking some of the blessed Zamzam water.
I've been a part of a lot of projects, thanks be to God. I can say with my heart that this is the most special, sweet one that I've been a part of. You get to hear their du'as, be a part of their du'as.
The orphans now begin the sa'i. This involves walking to and from Mount Safa and Marwa 7 times. This is done in honour of the plight of Hajar and Ismail, the wife and son of Prophet Ibrahim, peace be upon them all. The guardians exert themselves to ensure the disabled orphans are able to focus on their worship. Even the young orphans, though tired themselves, are happy to assist others in hope of pleasing their Lord, like 12-year-old orphan Ali.
هو كان الحاجة بتاع العرباي، أنا شفت زي هيك رحت ساعدته عشان أخذ أجر على الروح.
The brotherhood of the pilgrims is one of the greatest friendships that exist. They feel fortunate to help one another. They are guided and bonded by their faith. They want for each other what they want for themselves, and they love each other purely for the sake of Allah. The orphans have now completed their sa'i and make their way to the barber shop. For some, it's been a long while since they cut their hair and are delighted to have it all shaved off to receive the full blessings of Allah. The orphan pilgrims' umrahs are now complete and they feel full of happiness.
أنا ما كنت بتوقع إني أجي عمرة، وأنا هسه لما أجيت مبسوط كتير.
I get my happiness from Islam. It makes me kind and a better human. Please come with me and I'll show you why. I smile because I'm happy. I'm a Muslim, that's what makes me happy, and that's the truth. Because I'm happy, because I have no Quran, and that's where I get my rules. Because I'm happy, because my Lord is merciful and He is the forgiving one. Because I'm happy, and I have the sunnah which dictates what my life should do. Okay, come on. In Islam we have one God. Muhammad is His final messenger. We are taught to love and respect. Don't believe what you hear about it.
During their time in Mecca, the orphans want to spend as much time as possible at the Masjid al-Haram. Today, they are going for the Jummah prayer. The rewards for praying in Masjid al-Haram are literally out of this world. Each prayer in congregation is worth 100,000 prayers. To keep the orphans healthy and active, they are all provided with 3 meals each day. These meals also act as a great time to bond more and share their experiences of Mecca.
But when we see our fellow Muslims that are suffering, we just want to help because we're one big family. I'm a Muslim, that's what makes.
It's been a fantastic honour to get to know the orphans and the children with disabilities. They are so full of fun and life. This is not a small moment in a Muslim orphan, refugee's or sick child's life. This is a moment when a lot of those children have made not 1 but 2 Umrahs.
Feeling strong, the orphans all wish to do multiple Umrahs for their deceased parents and loved ones.
أنا حلمت إني رايحة على عمرة قبل.
أمي توفت قبل 2 سنين والله يرحمها. هي كانت معاها جربة، كانت نايمة. يعني كيف كنت أنا أصلي صح بس صرت أدعى لها. يعني مش طلعت عمرة مرتين، طلعت واحدة عني واحدة عنها.
Before moving on to Medina, the orphans are taken on ziyarat, where they see many of the Islamic historical places. The orphans are eager to see and learn as much as they can. For many of them, this is their first chance of putting real pictures to the stories they have heard during their lives. This helps to strengthen their understanding and belief of their Islamic history. While on ziyarat, the orphans are given all the relevant information by the tour guide as well as their guardians to make sure their tour is a more meaningful experience. On board the coach, tasty dates are shared around, which grow in abundance in both Mecca and Medina. They are also an extremely nutritious food to keep the orphans feeling active.
I always knew you were still around. I always knew you would show up at my door and I would cry to you and tell you how. Trying to follow where you left for me. I've been trying so carefully. I know the Lord, He is testing me to see if I am what I said to be. Follow your way and I know I'll be right. Day in and day out the rest of my life.
While saddened to leave the blessed city of Mecca, the orphans are at the same time happy to be going to Medina, where they can give salams to their beloved Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. On entering Medina, the orphans immediately find a sense of peace and tranquility.
I would never have even imagined that I would have been so blessed to accompany these orphans and to spend time with them, to bond with them, to see them smile, to see the excitement on their faces. Wow, it's an experience that will always stay with me for the rest of my life.
The excited orphans now make their way into Masjid Nabawi to meet and greet their orphan prophet.
أنا حسيت إن المدينة حلوة كتير ولما رحنا عند قبر الرسول ارتحت كتير.
As usual, the mosque is packed with thousands of Muslims worshipping Allah and conveying their salams to the Prophet. The orphans eagerly make their way through the busy crowd to have their turn.
All donors, all people watching this, please look into the impact that this project has on many different levels. For me as an individual, as a helper, this is going to stay with me for the rest of my life. What then for the orphan child, for their friends and family? It gives them hope, it gives them dignity, it gives them a sense of direction. It's a really, really noble project.
يعني أول مرة بحياتي كنت مبسوط زي انبسطت يعني قلبي من جوا ارتاح.
The orphans are ecstatic at meeting the Prophet. The smiles on their faces say it all.
There are feeding programs when we feed people's bodies, and they're essential. And there are practical programs when we clothe people, and those are essential. But to nurture well-being, a spirit of Islam, and the psychology of another human being who's living under hard conditions and who's a child, and putting them right in the house of Allah, there's nothing I've seen like that. And I urge everybody, be a part of this. Do it out of love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Do it because Allah loves the orphans. That's why they're mentioned 23 times in the Holy Quran. And all the time we're told that our faith is linked to being good to our family, our neighbours and the orphans. So part of that, imagine bringing them here to the Kaaba for the trip of a lifetime. I urge you, give generously, give love, and receive the dua.
هي أفضل إشي إنه إجيت أنا على عمرة وجيت عندي قبل الرسول عليه الصلاة والسلام. أنا راح أتذكرها طول حياتي بس زي.
The orphans' visit has almost come to an end, but before the orphans leave, they want to spend their last moments in Masjid al-Nabawi, reading Quran and to gather all the rewards possible. After over a week of rigorous worship, the orphans are now ready to go home. For all their aches and pains, they know that Allah has a special reward waiting for them. Both orphans and guardians alike have striven their utmost to please their Lord. Though most of the orphans are sleeping, Muhammad is awake, yet seems at total peace. He has something beautiful that he is leaving behind, and also something beautiful to look forward to, his mother. Now back in Jordan, Muhammad is reunited with his mother, though not as the boy that left, but as a new man. The time has reluctantly come for the orphans to say their final farewells to each other and their Umrah guardians. The friendships they have established will be cherished and never forgotten. Back at home, Muhammad shares his Umrah stories with his mother. His world has changed. He still misses his father and sister, but now he feels a great love from far beyond the camp.
محمد سيد الكونين والثقلين والفريقين من عرب ومن عجم مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم ثم الرضا عن أبي بكر وعن عمر وعن علي وعن عثمان